Yeah, years ago, 60s, 70s, 80s, used to have the screws, military police screws, come out of the army, big, powerful men, and would like to fight, you know what I mean? They've been in the army, been all the aggravation, you know, and then they come to prisons and bully people. And they was like proper bad people, you know what I mean? Bang on the door with truncheons, go in your cell, have a fight with you know, and you'd never win. If you beat the screw and he'd come in later, 4 or 5 handed and bash you up later at night, you know what I mean? That's their game. But they were big power, and you couldn't get away much, mate. You could not get away with anything with them people. And when I hear stories about Paul Sykes and Lee Duffy and all that in Durham, yeah, in the 80s, there's no way that Paul Sykes would go into a YP wing and get all the young boys and drag them in the cell, you know, and shut the door. You know, how's he going to shut the door? Do you know what I mean? Shut the door and then get hold of a YP and do all sorts of things to him and stick a Sun newspaper on the back of him, you know, where you had page 3 birds, stick him on the back and then do all sorts of things to the YP and just walk out the cell. No way. That wouldn't happen. You're mad, aren't you? The Scrooge would never allow that, mate. You don't know who you are, you know what I mean? There's no way that has he got to ring the bell to get out? And there's that, no, it wouldn't happen, mate. It wouldn't happen. Whoever made that story up, I don't know who made that story up, you know what I mean? But there's no way in a million years that Paul Sykes done that, you know. To get on another wing, is virtually impossible anyway, especially a YP wing and a big man like Paul Sykes. You know, there's rumours of Paul Sykes used to clean the YP wing and all that, you know. No, mate, I don't believe that for 1 minute it happened like that, in no way, yeah. Then you got Lee Duffy, ain't you? You know, you got Lee Duffy comes into prison and is calling Paul Sykes all sorts of names, you know, and then you really think that Paul Sykes, being the man that he was, would allow someone like Lee Duffy to shut his mouth off of him, a young guy about 21 years of age. No, it wouldn't happen, mate. You know, I think Lee Duffy would have got really hurt. You know, there's no way that Paul Sykes would stand anything like that. Paul Sykes in Durham prison, mate, was a right handful. He didn't muck about, mate. All many people want to muck about of him. You know what I mean? He was powerful. He was a very strong man. He was always pushing big weights about, always, you know, and being in prison, for the amount of time he'd been in prison, mate, he was a fit, strong man, you know. And when the people come out of all that crap, I can't believe it. Mind you, people come out of a lot of crap, you know what I mean? But yeah, he wasn't into that shit, mate. He wasn't into that shit, Paul Sykes. No way. Listen, mate, there's lots of things that goes on in prison, yeah. In the early times, you know, even when I was in Albany and Johnson and all that, things going all the time, 24/7. But there's no way that they drag people into the cells and do them sort of things to them. They don't do that, mate. They wouldn't get away with it, for one. You know what I mean? It isn't, I mean, Paul Sykes when he got smashed to pieces. It doesn't matter how hard you are. They're screws in them days. They're military police, mate. They wouldn't allow that crap. They wouldn't allow it. You know what I mean? They'd come in Paul Sykes' cell later on in the evening, mate, 5, 6-handed, and smashed him to pieces with truncheons. He would not get away with that. You're not trying to tell me that he could go in some young YP cell, do what he's got to do, slap a Sun newspaper on the back of the kid's back and do what he's got to do, and just walk out the cell. How would he do that? You know what I mean? I reckon he used to shut the cell door, get on the bell, and the screw would come along and open it. No way. It never happens. It didn't never happen, you know what I mean? It never ever happens. You don't think a kid's going to go down to the hospital and get checked out and all that if he's done all that to him? Shut up. Be sensible, think about it, bang, well, good morning, yeah?